Now we've had about 24 hours to digest, analyze every single group, and in today's video, I want to talk about the winners and the losers of the World Cup draw. Just merely the group stage. We can further analyze the knockout stages as we get closer, but right now I just want to talk about the World Cup draw for the group stage. Who do you guys think? Who do you think is the winners and who are the biggest losers of the World Cup draw? Let's start on a negative basis. That's why I got the red lights going on here in the background. The biggest losers, I think, are Norway, France, and Senegal. Yes, you could say that they're still going to qualify to the round of 32. Michael, is this even a group of death? Group I is a group of death, people. Look at those three teams and you tell me, do they want to play against each other in this group stage? Do you think France thought to themselves when they woke up yesterday morning, they were like, you know what? I really want to play Senegal and Norway. No! Because if any of those three sides finish in third place, they're going to play a group winner. And that will be extremely, extremely difficult. So I think you categorize them all three together and you say, they did not want to play against each other. Nobody wants to finish third place. Every game is going to be a war. It is going to be the battle of the trenches, like it's World War I between those three sides. And obviously the fourth side, which we don't know, most likely could be Iraq. I mean, Iraq are going to face it difficult. I just don't think you want to be playing the best of the best in the group stage. Especially, okay, you can deal with one strong opponent, like, you know, Germany going up against an Ecuador or Ivory Coast, but two strong opponents. For me, I think Senegal and Norway can both reach the quarterfinal of the World Cup. And France, of course, are going to be one of the contenders to win the entire tournament. It is a brutal draw for those three teams. It sucks that one of them could face a huge, huge opponent in the round of 32, but this is the World Cup. You're going to have to beat the best of the best to progress far at a World Cup. So yeah, I think these three teams are losers in a sense that they definitely did not want this group. Definitely not. I think we were all anticipating that Norway were going to get a tough group. Not this tough. This is extremely difficult. The other biggest loser for me is the debutantes. And it sucks to say that because I obviously love all these stories, but Curaçao are going through hell. Germany, Cote d'Ivoire, and Ecuador, Mamma mia. I mean, it's fantastic that Curaçao are here, but Curaçao would have definitely hoped for a Qatar or a Panama, or actually they can't get Panama, excuse me. One of those sides, just somebody that they can have a chance against. Do they have a chance? Of course, it's football, anything can happen, but for Curaçao in that group, my God, if they can get a point, I think that's a massive, massive plus and a huge achievement for the national team. So Curaçao have an extremely difficult group. Then you look at the other debutant, Jordan. They got Algeria, Austria, and Argentina. Three attacking sides. If you want to talk about like stylistically, this is a horrific matchup for Jordan. Jordan would have wanted to face teams like Cote d'Ivoire and Ecuador who really struggle to generate chances, to have a good attack. Jordan are not the best defensively. What Jordan are strong is the attack with an Altan Mari, an Al Naimat, and Olwan. So for Jordan, this is probably the worst matchups possible stylistically. Now, are their games going to be entertaining? Oh, we will be there because Jordan are going to be entertainment FC at this World Cup. But stylistically, I just think this was a horrible, horrible group for them. I think Jordan are going to surprise some people in this group. They could definitely give a game to Algeria and Austria. Will they lose? Yes, you would kind of lean towards that way because Jordan still are not defensively strong. But hey, they're going to bring the entertainment. Cabo Verde, I mean, it's a tough group for them as well. Spain, you can't expect anything here for Cabo Verde because just tactically, it's a terrible matchup. Spain are going to be a side that want to dominate possession. They're going to generate chances. I just think that's terrible for Cabo Verde. I think, yes, Cabo Verde can fancy their chances against Saudi Arabia, which will not be the worst of games. And that's the game where Cabo Verde can say, we can get the 3 points and have a historical moment for the nation. And then Uruguay is, again, quite a difficult opponent physically, but you know, Cabo Verde have dealt with physical teams in Africa, most notably like a Cameroon, or talk about other sides they played in the AFCON. I think Cabo Verde will fancy their chances a little bit against Uruguay. I still think that's a terrible, terrible group. And then the last debutant, Uzbekistan, Portugal, Colombia, and possibly DR Congo. Look, I love the Uzbeks. You guys know that for a long time. I've been saying for a long, long time, this team are going to qualify for the World Cup. They finally did it. Then they obviously had Katanic. They had so many changes. Then Cannavaro comes in. It's like, okay, can Uzbekistan actually be competitive in this group? I think they can be competitive. But if you look at the other groups, could you imagine if Uzbekistan went into like Group H or something? Like if they went up against Cabo Verde and Uruguay, I would actually fancy Uzbekistan's chances against an Uruguay, against a Cabo Verde. But Uzbekistan going up against Portugal, who are also going to be one of the top 5 contenders for the World Cup. Colombia, who many people would say they can reach a quarterfinal, a semifinal, a round of 16. And then DR Congo, I mean, that is a really bad matchup, I think, also stylistically for Uzbekistan, because they're a physical side, very good defensively. They got a good midfield. I think for Uzbekistan, that's a horrific group as well. But I will say, I think Uzbekistan can throw up a surprise there in one of those games. Now, if Uzbekistan could finish second or third in that group, massive achievement for the nation. Massive achievement. And the streets of Tashkent will go absolutely crazy, in my opinion. Yeah, so the debutants are one of the biggest losers. I mean, just horrible, horrible draw for them. Another team, and I don't think many people are talking about it, and you can tell me if this is a crazy hot take. Is this like a habanero spice, a Carolina Reaper spice? I actually think Germany are one of the biggest losers. Now, you might say that, oh, Michael, they're not in a group with Senegal and Norway. It's just the style of play that Cote d'Ivoire and Ecuador have is horrible for Germany. Germany would love to play against an Austria. They would love to play against an Algeria. Two sides that are not strong defensively, or go up against a Haiti or Scotland. That would have been more favorable for Germany. Germany are really going to have to take their chances in those games. Because Cote d'Ivoire and Ecuador, I mean, they're not going to give up a lot of XG. They'll give up like 0.5 XG against Germany. And it's about Germany being very clinical. Now, Germany are not the best defensively, as we have seen through World Cup qualifiers, as we saw at the Euros. So that's a little bit of a minus for this Germany side. Do I still think they can win this group? Of course, they're going to be the favorites. But it's not going to be a cakewalk whatsoever. Talk about tactically, how could Germany do against Cote d'Ivoire and Ecuador? They're going to have to be on their A game. Because if they're not on their A game, Germany could lose a game here. Easily. Because Cote d'Ivoire and Ecuador are two extremely good defenses in world football. And Germany, as we know, are a very good attacking side. But just defensively, you have their question marks about them. So I would say Germany are one of the biggest losers. I think Germany would have favored to go up against like a Morocco, Haiti, and Scotland. I think that would have been better for them tactically. Let's go a couple more. Qatar. Oh boy. I mean, look. I think they are one of the worst teams at this World Cup. They're a pot 3 team, and they should be very happy they're a pot 3 team. They're going to play against one of the hosts, Canada, Switzerland, and possibly Italy. Boy, oh boy. If Qatar get a point, kudos to them. I don't see it happening. I really don't. But maybe they favor this sort of underdog mentality, not so much pressure on them compared to the World Cup last time around when they were one of the hosts, and there was so much pressure on them to perform, and they were then the worst host ever performance-wise. I just think Qatar, they could have done a lot better with their group. They would have definitely fancied their chances against, a New Zealand or Cabo Verde or one of these sides, but not Switzerland, definitely not Canada, and definitely not one of the European sides that will progress into that group. So Qatar, another loser as well. I think Panama, look, every Panamanian right now, and I'm wearing the kit because this kit, by the way, is sensational. Every Panamanian would have said, there's just one team we want to avoid. Just one team. The one team that gives us PTSD. The one player who gives us PTSD. Harry Kane and England. Every Panamanian was like, we don't want that side. We're just going to think about 2018. What happens? They get drawn with England, of course. Then they're like, okay, could it get worse? Okay, Croatia. Oh, boy. Oh, no puede ser. No puede ser. And then Ghana. Ugh. I think for Panama, they're not the best defensively. And, Thomas Christensen is going to be bold. He's going to say, okay, let's take the games to the opponent. I think for Panama, that group is one of the worst possible. One of the worst possible. They would have definitely fancied their chances against the Belgium, Iran, and New Zealand. That would have been the perfect group for Panama. Instead, they're with the big boys. Now, it is a great moment for Panama going to their second ever World Cup, first time returning since 2018, but I just don't think they're at that level just yet. Could they get there maybe in the future? Hopefully, that would be awesome to see Panama competing with those sides, but this World Cup, they're going to need to be unbelievable to progress out of the group. Unbelievable. I just don't see it for them. One more side I think that is the biggest loser is actually Canada. I think Canada with that group, being one of the hosts, you're like, okay, Switzerland, doable opponent, still very difficult because Switzerland are one of the underdog sides in this World Cup, and everybody will disrespect Switzerland because they don't have the names. Switzerland, every major competition, they ball out. So if I'm Canada, I'm like, that's a team we didn't want. Then you got Qatar. Cool. I mean, that's a give me 3 points right there. And then you could have been like, oh, just give us like a New Zealand. Give us, I don't know, some easy team in that pot 4. Instead, you get maybe Italy. I think for the host, they have the toughest group. Yeah, you could talk about Mexico, Group of Life, USA, they got Paraguay, maybe Turkey and Australia, but Canada have two strong European sides. And it's really down to Jesse Marsch and his side to perform on the day and to start Promise David in those games, right? If they can do that, Canada can progress out of the group. But this is going to be a difficult group for them. If they finish second or third, it's not bad, but they just got to be worried about the goal differential as well. But I still think Canada can throw up a surprise in that group because I really like Jesse Marsch and the players. And I think stylistically they can go up against an Italy and a Switzerland. It's going to be great games, though. Those are my biggest losers. Now let's get to the biggest winners. Biggest winners. No doubt about it, it is Iran. For every Iranian in the world, this is the moment. The players must understand that. The FA must understand that. The fans must understand that. 2018, you were in the group of death. You had Morocco, you had Spain, you had Portugal. 2022, you have the USA, you had Wales, England, another very difficult group. I think for Iran, you could have not dreamed of a better group than this. This is the moment. Egypt are a mess. We don't know if Hossam Hassan is going to be the manager of the World Cup. There's so much uncertainty within the national team. And you got New Zealand. I mean, if Iran cannot beat New Zealand, no disrespect to New Zealand, because I still think New Zealand are a strong side. But Iran, if they cannot beat New Zealand, disband the national team, disband the FA, and block them from playing the Asian Cup next year. Block it. This is their moment to finally progress out of the group. I'm expecting guys like Azmoun and Taremi to ball out against an Egypt, who are not the strongest defensively, against the New Zealand. And heck, even Belgium. Belgium are not the best defensively. Do Belgium have quality in the midfield and the attack? No doubt about it. Defensively, they're probably going to give up a goal here to Iran. I don't think Iranians could have dreamed a better group. This is an exceptionally perfect group. They could have easily been with France and Norway, and I think every Iranian and everybody who follows Asian football would have been like, that's a very difficult group for Iran. They're probably going to finish third, maybe even fourth. But for Iran to get Egypt and New Zealand and Belgium, I think all of those teams should be very grateful that they got drawn with each other because they're like, okay, we can beat you. No, we can beat you. We can beat you. And that's why I have another biggest winner is Belgium, because for pot one side to get that group, and we know, Iran are not the strongest right now. There's so much uncertainty with Galanoy, the players. Then you got Egypt, not the strongest Egyptian side, and New Zealand. Belgium, how'd you cook it? How'd you pay Donald Trump? How'd you pay Infantino? Because every Belgian got to be like, we did it again. Well, to be fair, they didn't have the easiest of groups in 2022. 2018, they had obviously England, Tunisia, and Panama, not the most difficult of groups. So I think for Belgium, perfect group. And this will help them go far in the tournament. Maybe get to round of 16, and obviously round of 16 will be a tough opponent. But at least in the round of 32, they might play a third-place team from any of the groups. I have no clue how that's going to work. I think Belgium are one of the biggest winners alongside Iran. Another biggest winner is Spain. Spain avoided some big boys. Yes, Uruguay, I know, on paper, heritage, name-wise, player-wise, Uruguay can be a strong team. If you've been following Uruguay, probably in the last 10 months, maybe even a year, it's a mess. Ever since the Copa America when they reached the semifinals, Titanic settings. They're a disarray. Bielsa and the players, they don't like each other. There's some uncertainty if even players are going to show up. It's such a sad mess for Uruguay. So for Spain to get them, who are not the best defensively right now, but Uruguay, they could show up any day and be monsters because that's just the Uruguay mentality. But I think Spain will definitely fancy their chances against Uruguay. They avoided Senegal. I think Senegal would have been stylistically a horrific matchup against Spain. Then they get Saudi Arabia and Cabo Verde. I think Spain, they should be licking their lips at this group and saying, we can easily win all 3 games. We can have a +9 goal difference that will help us with confidence. And with the way Spain are playing at the moment since they won the Euros, perfect. And I think it's a perfect group for them. They avoided guys like Croatia, Ghana. They avoided Senegal. They avoided Norway. They avoided Morocco. Those would have been very difficult matchups for Spain. Spain got Cabo Verde, Saudi Arabia, Uruguay. Good group for them. Then I want to pick one of the hosts here. And it's either USA or Mexico. And I'm kind of leaning towards the United States. Because the USA, they've already beaten Australia and Paraguay, which it could backfire on them. There could be some tactical tweaks that Paraguay and Australia could use against the USA to sort of nullify them in the game. But I think the USA will be confident once again of beating Australia and Paraguay. Now, the USA then will maybe face Turkey, which obviously Turkey beat them 2-1. That's not going to be a great matchup, I would say, for the United States. But overall, I think every USMNT fan can be happy because it could have been a lot worse. If you said Cote d'Ivoire, I would have said I'm packing my bags, I'm going home. That would have been terrible matchups just physically against the United States. But Paraguay and Australia, yes, they are physical sides, and yes, they have some good individual talents like a Julio Enciso, Iraconda, Toure, these sort of players for both of those teams. I think the United States can still finish first or second in that group. And if they have a good window in March, I'm expecting it from the United States. I'm expecting them to finish first or second. And you know that's no disrespect at all to Australia or Paraguay, because you guys know I think they're strong teams. But the United States got to be happy with their group. I think Mexico also will be happy with their group. They avoided some big teams. They're going to be at home. They already played South Korea. South Africa, obviously, first game of the World Cup, which is going to be great. And Denmark, I think Mexico will be like, hey, we could have gone a lot worse. We could have been in a terrible situation with the way we're at the moment, within the fan base as well. I think now there's a little bit more positivity for the Mexicans. I think the vibes of 2010 will get them back with obviously the South Africa in the opening game. I think Mexico are one of the winners as well. And the last winner, I got to go with Argentina, the defending champions, because tactically, they're going up against sides that are not the strongest defensively. Algeria will leak goals. Jordan will most definitely leak goals. And Austria, I think Austria are more about being a pressing team, controlling the midfield, just nullifying the teams high up the field. I think that will really suit Argentina, because we know Argentina, these guys are a machine. They just got so many ballers within the side. They have so much chemistry with each other. I think for Argentina, they really avoided teams that could be defensively solid, like a Cote d'Ivoire, even a Morocco. Those two teams would have really given hell to Argentina. While yes, Argentina will of course have pressure to defend as world champions, I think it's still a doable group here for Argentina. But let me know your thoughts, people. Who do you think are the winners? Who are the losers of the World Cup draw? And of course, tomorrow or Monday, Tuesday, I'll be dropping my video ranking every single group. Which group I'm most hyped about and which group I'm least hyped about. And remember to follow me on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, join the Discord, all those links. Description down below, and we're going to have so much World Cup content, people. You're probably going to think I'm addicted. Yes, I am addicted to the World Cup. These are the storylines I love about football. But have a beautiful day. Stay safe in this crazy world. Till next time, adios.